welcome in Ross Marshall, please.
Thank you. Tomorrow is November the 11th, Remembrance Sunday. Is it November the 11th tomorrow? It's certainly Remembrance Sunday back home in the UK. And we did this last year, which was fantastic. Everybody stopped for a minute while the Brits and very kindly you two stopped to remember the dead of the many wars that we've been in. I'll come to some of those later. It's quite a serious moment for us. So I think Shane's managing to make some space. If you can give us just 1 minute of space when we can remember the soldiers who've died for us. Also tomorrow we're rerunning, which proved very successful last year, the Milbro Challenge. The prize was a bottle of whiskey last year, and I love my whiskey. What I find a bit difficult with whiskey really is the marketing, shall we just say, I was going to say a word but I won't, that comes with whiskey. And I'm glad to say there's a fair bit of marketing hype in our industry, but not too much. But you know, this whiskey which Kit won last year, you know, there is a place, Jura is a place famed for its folklore, a magical haven where a sense of solitude pervades. One road, one pub, one community. There's another edition of this whiskey which actually said it had whispers of sea spray in it. Whispers of sea spray? It's a whiskey, for God's sake. Jeez, yeah. And this is just the same. This has got more of the same. Anybody who wins this was going to be having toasted nuts. Now there's something to conjure with. Baked apples and brown sugar on the nose. Anyway.
Be sure to describe the Milbro Challenge yourself.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask last year's winner to come up and have a whiskey with me and describe what's been organised for the challenge for this year. Mr. Kit Perot, last year's winner. So there's some whispers of sea spray for you, and if you want to just tell what you got organised for the competition this year.
The Milbro Challenge last year, we took Ross's business cards and we put them on the bottom of the targets. Everybody that was here knows what happened. Everybody that was not, you got one shot at the card. As long as you didn't hit the card in any place, you could continue to shoot. On Ross's card, there's a printout of a small pellet. Whoever come closest to it or hit it would win the bottle of whiskey. So this year, Shane set it all up with the targets when he had the targets printed and printed the same thing on there. So instead of his actual card, it's printed on with the target. So this year, same thing goes. You're going to see it on the bottom of your target. Be careful. Don't let any flyers go down there. Once a pellet hits inside the square, that's your shot on that card. So before shooting, after you're done shooting, whenever, take your best shot and try to hit that pellet on that target. Closest one, or the one that hits it the hardest, wins the bottle. And I was very lucky. The wind blew my pellet right in there last year, so I won the whiskey.
And it is a word to the wise, because actually there was somebody who shot tighter to the pellet than you did, but he had another shot that was in the card, so he was disqualified.
So I won by default.
But you were just behind him. A whisper of sea spray behind him.
Yes,
so,
and cinnamon on the nose.
So enjoy the whiskey, Kim.
Yeah, take it with you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good health and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'm acutely aware that most of us have been up since about 5 o'clock this morning, and then there's the rest of the foreign contingent have got jet lag to continue with, to contend with. So hopefully, I'll try to keep this reasonably short. I will give you just a very short history of Milbro, since most of you don't know, but it's going to be very short. Milbro Sports started off, nobody really knows when, sometime after the Second World War, by two brothers called the Millard brothers. Hence it was contracted down to Millard Brothers Bro, and it became Milbro. And they made airgun pellets they were probably the lead airgun pellet manufacturer of the day for Springers and for Plinkers, and then they got into all sorts of other stuff, a much wider range of sports. equipment. And then they decided to retire to Ireland. The production manager bought them out and he reduced it down to pellets. Then he retired and we decided to save the name for the nation, and we bought it about 4 years ago, and we're inexorably, slowly moving the pellet business, which really is concentrated in springers and plinking, into the PCP area. The pellets that you've all been given, the Caledonian Ultra, are been tweaked by us. They're a variant of a standard pellet which sells really, it isn't JSB, but we sell an awful lot of them because the plinking market, certainly in the UK, is, I don't know, 60–70% of the pellet market. So that's what we're doing. We're looking to the future. We have two fantastic people who work alongside us. Ben Taylor, who set up Theobin and is constantly inventing, and Mr. Huggett over there, who's known to us all as Mr. H, who is constantly innovating with these fantastic sirens. So we're very blessed. I thought, since we've come from the UK, I'd give you a quick snapshot of the view from over there. Before I say anything about the relationship between the US and the UK, I need to explain that Milbro is situated 3 yards from Mildenhall Air Base in the UK, along with its sister air base, Lakenheath. Both these bases are run by the American Air Force, and we have around 6,000 to 6,500 American personnel and their families in the immediate surroundings. It's like having a small American town just over the fence. Most noticeable are the American vehicles. They're big, they're brash, they're left-hand drive. We even have special tow trucks to cope with them when they break down. Okay, we live with Americans every day. Some of our customers are great US guys, and we love them all. And I want you to remember that when I talk about the special relationship over the next 10 minutes. Now, let's look at the UK. What do you think about the UK? How would you sum up Britain in one word? Would it be Beckham, Cowell, Downton, Queen? What would it be? What would you say? Downton. Downton. Britain is summed up in one word: great. Great Britain. It's in the name. And we are great because we've conquered the world. There isn't hardly a nation anywhere that we haven't at some point or other conquered. Guatemala, Paraguay, Bolivia, there's 3. They speak Spanish, but as we roundly beat the Spanish in the Armada, let's consider them conquered. Mali, Ivory, Congo, Chad. Well, the Belgians and the French, they were the only people who could make headway in that area. And as we spanked them both in battle, well, they're ours by right as well. Then there's places that end in Stan. Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. We never conquered them. And then, of course, there's the US. Now, respectfully, I remind you that we ruled the US at one point. Let's not go there. I'm going to go there big time. I'm going there big time. Right.
We conquered Sweden.
How many Vikings are there in England? Okay, you came over, tried to conquer us. We sent you back home. Vikings from... right, so, well, what happened really was you lot became disagreeable and then started making trouble. So we captured New York and Philadelphia, and it was the only time that a foreign power ever captured and occupied the United States Capitol. And that was when the Brits, we did it in 1814. You might finally have won the War of Independence, but that's because we pulled out to guard the West Indies from the French, well, as it was more valuable than America at the time. Well, that goes to show we don't get everything all right all the time. The Pilgrim Fathers were British, but they came over here because we didn't really want them in Britain. We were having a great time, and they came, and then along came these guys who decided to stop all the fun. What better way to do that than to confuse us? So they said, let's confuse people by wearing our shoe buckles on our hats. So they did, and we all went, what the? So then we got really confused. We said, we don't want you here, just head off that way, westwards. And you got them. On the subject of language, there's interesting differences between the US and the UK. You say tomato, we say tomato. You say basil, we say basil. You say herb, and we say herb. And the reason we say herb is because there's a freaking H in it. Come on, guys. Using English anywhere in America can lead to misunderstandings. You've just got to be careful how you do it. I was at an ATM in Phoenix, and there was this little old lady there, and she asked if I could check her balance. She needed some help to check her balance. So I just shoved her, and she fell over. I said, your balance isn't very good, dear. And then I kind of got that wrong. Now, you Americans have done some extraordinary things, the things that are out of this world. You put a man on the moon, and we didn't. The reason we didn't is because we invented gravity. And having invented gravity, we saw no reason to go somewhere where there isn't any. Meanwhile, this week's news that India is trying to get to Mars before China does sound really crazy. I mean, after all, Mars Corporation HQ is here. Outer space is kind of interesting, really, on a slightly serious moment for a note for a moment. I mean, when it started, it was confrontation, USA versus Russia. And then there was sort of cooperation, the International Space Station, and sharing everything all around. And I think the next C is commercialization, where people will be able to pay for the experience. And perhaps that's why the Indians want to prove they can get up there and cash in on it. Now, I'm going to be talking to Rob about holding the next Extreme Benchrest competition in space. Intergalactic Benchrest. We could shoot air guns for miles. No gravity, so no drop-off. Just a flat trajectory going on and on. No holdover. Sorry, Ted. No side wind. Shoot from strange angles. However, I suspect it would cost more than $100. Okay. So we're just delighted to stay here on Earth and be with friends from around the world and looking for good laughs and good times. We're kind of divided by language to a certain extent, but we are divided by a great bloody big ocean, which is a shame, because all I'd like to say is that it'd be nicer if that ocean was smaller and we could see our North American cousins more often without having to suffer jet lag. Thank you.